What up, AP Econ? This is a review of the worksheet on the Phillips curve. And hopefully we understood the instructions that we always start here and that sometimes we might shift to point A or point B, and sometimes we might go to short run Phillips curve 1 or short run Phillips curve 2. So let's go ahead and review, and hopefully we got this. It makes sense to us. Okay, so first off, an increase in consumption, which is essentially something that increases aggregate demand. That would probably be my explanation. So if something increases aggregate demand, we can expect inflation to go up and unemployment to go down. So that would bring us to point A. And again, an increase in consumption is an increase in aggregate demand, which is going to lower unemployment and cause an upward movement in prices. Okay, a decrease in government spending, kind of sort of just the opposite. Okay, that's a decrease in aggregate demand because it's part of the CIG XN formula. Okay, so if the government spends less money, theoretically it's going to have a downward movement on price level. So it's going to lower inflation, but it's going to cause unemployment. Okay, so that would bring us to, there should be an arrow here, my printer's running out, to point B. Okay, decrease in investment would essentially be the same thing. Decrease in investment, companies spending less money on investment, that would increase unemployment and cause the price level to go down. Okay, next, a decrease in personal income taxes. Okay, so this is this is good practice on our aggregate supply, aggregate demand shifters here. If there's an increase in personal income taxes, it means the government's charging people more money in taxes. So essentially, people have less money in their pockets. So that would decrease consumption, which would decrease GDP. Okay, so a decrease in consumption would have a downward movement on inflation, but likely cause unemployment. So that would bring us to point B. Okay, and then next is an increase in net exports. An increase in net exports would mean that other countries are buying more of our stuff. Okay, which is an increase in aggregate demand. It would bring us to point A. Okay, hopefully we are getting this. Man, I gotta check this. We haven't had a shift of supply yet. But anyway, going on to letter F, a decrease in consumer confidence. Okay, so let me see, how do I do this? Hold on a second. Hold on. There we go. We're gonna do this. All right. Okay, so a decrease in consumer confidence. Okay, so if the consumers feel that the economy is not headed towards a good place, they're going to spend less money. Okay, so if they spend less money, then we move to point B. It increases unemployment. Okay, all right, here we go. A decrease in input costs. Okay, so now what we're saying is it might be the cost of labor, or maybe it's personal, or maybe it's corporate taxes, or regulations. Maybe it's energy, maybe it's gas prices. Okay, somehow the cost of production has gone down because the cost of the inputs has gone down. The cheese has gone down for the pizza company, for the pizza shop. Okay, so that is an increase in aggregate supply. Okay, which has a downward movement on prices. But at the same time as having a downward movement on prices is also going to lower unemployment. Okay, so that is going to move us from short-run Phillips curve, from our original short-run Phillips curve to short-run Phillips curve 2, theoretically somewhere around here. Okay, so that's why it's such a good thing when input costs go down, because it has a downward push on inflation and a downward push on unemployment, the best of all worlds. Okay, so let's put in SRPC2. Okay, and remember, that's equivalent to an increase in short-run aggregate supply. Okay, now here is kind of sort of the opposite, an increase in labor costs. Okay, if the cost of labor goes up, companies all have to spend more money. Okay, so that is likely to cause both inflation and unemployment because it's essentially a decrease in short run aggregate supply. Okay, so that would bring us to short run Phillips curve 1. Okay, next one. Let's see if we can, oh, that works. Okay, if there's a short run decrease in the prices of raw materials, that's kind of the opposite of one that we did a little ways back. Decrease in the prices, so that's an increase in short run aggregate supply. Okay, so that's going to have a downward movement on both inflation and unemployment, bring us to short run Phillips curve 2. Okay, next, short run increase in oil prices. And of course, I think we know by now that one's going to make everything more expensive and cause unemployment. Okay, next one. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to think. An increase in the value of assets. Okay, so now we want to think that, you know, people's housing prices grow in value, people's stock prices grow in value. Essentially, when your assets grow in value, whether you're a company or whether you're an individual, it's kind of like times are good. So when times are good, it's going to kind of increase consumer confidence. So what I think that's going to cause is an increase in aggregate demand. I think companies and people are going to spend more money when they learn that that times are good, that their assets are worth more money. They feel like they have a lot of money. So I think that clue is getting us to move to a decrease in unemployment and increase in inflation as aggregate demand goes up. So I hope I'm right because I'm kind of on camera, but I believe that this would be point A. Okay, all right, next, an increase in imports. Okay, so if our country buys more stuff from other countries, that's a decrease it's kind of like a decrease in buying our stuff. Okay, so that's going to make aggregate demand go down. We know that we subtract imports from the CIGXN thing. Okay, so that is going to increase unemployment and cause a downward movement on prices. And that will bring us to point B. Okay, I hope that this makes sense, and please let me know if you have any questions, guys. Miss you, AP Econ. Hope all is well.